I'm not PewDiePie. Screw that. I don't want to do this over again. See ya, future me.
What if we told you that right now, as you're watching this video, you could be just one idea, one thumbnail, one video away from changing your life forever?
It's much easier to get 5 million views on one video than 50,000 views on 100 videos.
Stay with us, because
When you make good content, you'll blow up.
so we're going into the tips and tricks that transformed Mr. Beast from just another aspiring creator into the king of viral content. And these are like finding the cheat code.
Just make 100 videos, improve something each time, and then talk to me on your 101st video.
Mr. Beast is obsessed with YouTube, always thinking about how to make his next video even better. When he says,
The best way to get views, in my opinion, I think it's better to really focus on quality.
he's not talking about having the fanciest camera or expensive equipment. He started recording on an iPhone, so there are zero excuses here.
Mr. Beast went all in on his channel even when no one was watching. He recorded over 100 videos before he got his first viral hit. Most people would have given up by then.
But Mr. Beast kept asking himself, how can I make this better? How can I make people click? Are you asking yourself the same thing about your videos?
This leads us right to the next tip, which might surprise you.
A big mistake new YouTubers make is getting stuck in the perfection trap.
To be successful, you kind of have to have a little bit of that ego where you're like, my content's great. You got to believe in it.
Mr. Beast's advice? Forget about perfection and just post. Get the content out there, analyze what works, and
Improve something every time.
Mr. Beast constantly says that learning comes from doing. If you're waiting until you have the perfect camera, the best lighting, or the most flawless script, you're wasting time.
real growth happens when you take action, get feedback from your audience, and adapt. Each video is a stepping stone. You don't need the harsh truth setup.
101st video maybe got some big amount of views. But what about when you finally get that video that sticks? What's the next big move after that?
If you think the content inside your video is all that matters, think again. Mr. Beast has been very clear about this.
Try to, study a new thumbnail tip and implement it.
And yeah, your title.
Short, simple, ideally, and just so freaking interesting they have to click.
Titles are half the reason people click on your video.
It doesn't matter how good your content is if no one clicks to watch it. And guess what?
Just brainstorm like, okay, I don't have money. What are some viral things?
He spends hours brainstorming the perfect title and thumbnail before he even starts filming.
Yeah, it's that important. He often creates several versions and picks the one that gets the highest click-through rate.
The more extreme the opinion, typically the higher the click-through rate.
And here's a pro tip. Faces work wonders. If you're not using a face in your thumbnail, you're leaving clicks on the table. But once people click, how do you keep them watching?
Mr. Beast understands something important.
And then what's the first 5 seconds? And then what's the first 30 seconds?
Of your video are make or break. If you don't hook viewers right away, they're gone. Think about it. Our attention spans are shorter than ever.
People aren't going to sit through a boring intro to see if it gets good later. You need to give them a reason to stay immediately.
I roast a lot of people who have boring first 5 seconds. It's brutal.
Mr. Beast's secret? He jumps right into the action. No long intros, no fluff, just straight to the good stuff. And not just that, but he uses curiosity to keep people hooked. For example,
If you click on a video where, of his, where it's like, Tether is a scam, and then at the very beginning he starts talking about literally anything else, then you're like, oh, this is bull. This isn't what I clicked on. But if at the very start of the video you go, Tether is a scam, and I'm going to teach you why.
he teases something exciting that's coming later in the video, giving people a reason to stick around.
Ask yourself, how can you make your viewers need to see what happens next?
Speaking of keeping viewers hooked, what does Mr. Beast do to make sure his audience watches to the very end?
His videos are fast-paced, high energy, and constantly throwing new surprises at the viewer.
He understands that in today's world, people get bored fast. If there's even a second of dead air or a moment that feels too slow, people will click off.
Here's a tip straight from Mr. Beast's playbook.
No wasted words, short, concise, and then tension.
Cut out anything that doesn't serve the story. If it's not exciting, funny, or adding value, get rid of it.
Your goal is to make your video feel like it's moving at lightning speed, so viewers never have time to get bored.
Now, the one thing that might surprise you is what Mr. Beast does after every video is uploaded.
This is where Mr. Beast goes from being just another content creator to a YouTube mastermind. After he uploads a video, the work doesn't stop.
He becomes a data scientist, analyzing every single metric, retention rates, click-through rates, average view duration, you name it.
Why? Because understanding how people interact with your content is the key to making your next video even better.
He'll pinpoint the exact second people start dropping off a video and ask himself, What did I do wrong there?
It's this relentless focus on improvement that has taken him from 100 views to billions.
If people loved the last video of yours that they watched, they're more likely to watch your next one.
If you're not analyzing your own performance, you're leaving your success up to chance. And YouTube success, it's all about strategy. Here's the harsh reality. Failure is not only inevitable, it's essential. Mr. Beast himself says that failure is where the learning happens.
When you make a video that flops, it's not the end of the world.
Your first 10 are not going to get views. I can very confidently say that.
In fact, it's the beginning of your growth.
If a video didn't perform well, he didn't take it personally, he took it as feedback. So what's the final piece of the puzzle that brings all of this together? If you've been paying attention to Mr. Beast's journey, you know that patience is key. His meteoric rise took him years of consistent posting, failing, learning, and improving.
He understood that success on YouTube and in life is a marathon, not a sprint. His advice?
You got to make a bunch of videos and improve over time to be great.
Be prepared for the long game. It's easy to feel like you're not making progress when your growth is slow, but here's the thing.
When you make good content, you'll blow up.
Each video, each failure, each small win builds momentum.
Mr. Beast went years with only a few hundred subscribers, but he never let that stop him. He says that your next video could be the one that changes everything. So why stop now?
One of the biggest misconceptions about Mr. Beast's success is that it was purely talent or luck. But behind the scenes, he was pouring everything into his channel, his time, his money, his energy. When he started making money from YouTube, instead of spending it on luxuries, he reinvested it back into his content. Every dollar went toward making his videos bigger, better, and more engaging.
He is now running 20 of his own channels at that time with the same strategies.
Sometimes that means investing in better equipment, hiring an editor, or just spending more time perfecting your ideas. And remember, the biggest investment is always your time.
One of the reasons Mr. Beast has managed to stay on top of the YouTube game for so long is because he's never afraid to evolve.
He didn't just stick to one formula and ride it out. He's always experimenting, always trying new things.
From gaming content to epic challenges to philanthropic stunts, his channel is constantly changing, but always staying true to his brand. Because the YouTube landscape is always evolving, and if you're not growing, you're dying.
What worked on YouTube 5 years ago isn't necessarily going to work today. Mr. Beast understood that to stay relevant, you need to keep pushing boundaries, trying new formats, and reinventing yourself when necessary.
Experiment, fail, learn, and evolve.
But what if you're evolving and still not seeing the growth you want? Mr. Beast's final piece of advice might just change the game for you.
Mr. Beast didn't become one of the biggest YouTubers by playing it safe. He took risks, huge risks. Whether it was spending ridiculous amounts of money on challenge videos or giving away life-changing prizes.
His philosophy is simple. If you want to stand out, you need to do what others aren't willing to do.
And he wasn't always sure his ideas would work. Sometimes they didn't, but when they did, they exploded. He took calculated risks, and he was willing to fail if it meant the possibility of creating something unforgettable. And now, you have the blueprint to start making real progress on your own channel.
Before you go, we want to hear from you in the comments. What's the biggest challenge you faced as a YouTuber? Is it coming up with ideas, growing your audience, or maybe you're stuck in the perfection trap? Let me know, and let's see if we can tackle it together.